After looking at all of the sales history and the amount of returns we got, this one here is a 5mm grid. I think it's glued to the board. Yay! Okay, that was super smooth. Hi, welcome back to another studio vlog. Today is Wednesday the 18th of September, which means it's been 1 month since we had our biggest release of the year, which was our 2025 collection. We have been feeling the love here at May Paper Co, and I have been so grateful for all of your orders. I am so proud of my team. We worked double time to get the orders out on time and within our regular processing times, so we didn't need to extend our processing times at all, which is a huge feat. So I'm so proud of my team for how hard they worked. It was probably the most stressful launch I've ever had in my life. I actually filmed a vlog that launch day, which I'll link above in the cards if you're curious to see how that went down. Long story short, to be vlogging during all of that was very interesting, to say the least. I guess before we get started with the day, I would like to give some shop updates. By the way, if you can hear some beeping in the background, it's because there's a forklift going back and forth. But anyway, shop updates. My plan with the 2025 collection launch was to have the entire collection launch in August on our website and then slowly stagger out the Amazon US launch. So for those who don't know, we stock a limited selection of products on Amazon US. This way, for those in the US, you can take advantage of the faster delivery times and also free shipping with Prime. But we've been running into a few issues with Amazon seller back end of things, which has delayed us. I'm hoping to work on that in the next coming weeks. But generally it will take around 1 or 2 weeks for our shipments to get to the US, and then another couple of weeks for them to be checked into the Amazon warehouse. So it's quite a long process, but I'll keep you updated and make sure to post announcements when they finally arrive at Amazon. But we'll be working on that in the next couple of weeks and making sure that the shipments go out and prioritizing that. In the meantime, for the rest of the year, we have some exciting things and maybe some disappointing news. So tomorrow we have the Destash box launch, which I hope goes really well. I'm probably not going to vlog that day, but basically like twice a year we have these Destash box sales, which are essentially a bundle of mystery oops items, samples, discontinued items that still have some life in them. And what we do is assemble them into mystery boxes and then sell them at a discounted price. So it's a win-win situation. This helps us clear out space in our warehouse and also helps reduce the amount of stuff going to landfill by giving them a second chance at being happy mail. So that's going to be going live tomorrow, and it's going to be the last one of the year. In terms of disappointing news, those who have been following us for a few years now would know that typically around this time of the year we have a pre-sale for our 12 days of stationery advent calendar. So we've had an advent calendar since 2019, I believe. So this would have been our 6th year doing it in a row, but unfortunately life had other plans. I feel really disappointed in myself for letting you down, as I know that some of you look forward to receiving one every single year, but I feel like as a small business owner, this was the toughest year for me yet, and I definitely didn't have the capacity to take on such a large project this year. So typically I start planning and designing the advent calendar items during May, and this gives me adequate time to put things into production, especially for the items that I get outsourced to manufacturers. But this year I experienced the worst burnout from April to June that I have ever experienced, to the point where I actually wanted to close down May Paper Co by the end of the year. And I wasn't even sure at this point whether I wanted to release a 2025 collection at all because of how bad it was. I think it was like a combination of the tough economic times with expenses for everything going up, and also like putting too much pressure on myself and taking too much on. So it's not really something like that I've talked about publicly, but it was a pretty dark time, not going to lie. And I am just so, so grateful for my team for supporting me through it all and helping Made Paper Co. Keep running behind the scenes, because all I could do was the bare minimum that I needed to get through the day. There was just like constant fatigue, no matter how much I slept and like coffee I drank, I was just so tired all the time. But yeah, I think this is a story for another day. If you want to hear more about maybe like a video about how I started May Paper Co. and lessons learned as a small business owner over the years of running my stationery business, let me know down in the comments below. I might film that another day. So, too long, didn't read. I basically burnt out and didn't have the capacity to organize an advent calendar this year. It was a really difficult decision to make, as I feel somewhat like a failure, but ultimately, if I wanted May Paper Co. to live past 2024, I knew it was a decision I had to make. So I'm really sorry if this was something you were looking forward to as we're nearing the holiday season. This was also another reason why I decided to cut out A6 size. I really do not like removing items from our line, particularly sizes, because I know that A6 size is something that's not commonly offered in planner stores. But after looking at all of the sales history and the amount of returns we got from like people confusing it with personal size, in the end I had to make the decision to not include it in our 2025 collection, because the time that it takes to design and date them, stock them, and at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it for us. In happy news, I have some happy mail to show you, but before we get into that, some backstory for you. So a couple of weeks ago, we launched our blank Tomoe River Paper refills, which you guys have been loving. I also uploaded a tutorial on how to print these refills so that you can make your own Tomoe River Paper refills at home. For those who are unfamiliar with Tomoe River Paper, it's a Japanese paper that's known for being thin and is a favorite amongst fountain pen lovers because fountain pen inks don't feather and bleed through the paper. So this is the happy mail I wanted to show you. I just received this from my manufacturer a couple of weeks ago, but I've been dying to share them with you. Just haven't had time because we've been so focused on our 2025 collection launch. So this paper is 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, which is more than half the thickness of 120 GSM paper that we stock in our store. I feel like a common misconception in the planning and journaling world is that the thicker the paper, the better quality the paper is. And not going to lie, this was something that I definitely thought when I first got into the planning world, because going from 80 GSM regular copy paper to 100 GSM paper was like a mind-blowing moment because of how you didn't get bleed through or shadowing with certain pens. And then I went a step further and discovered 120 GSM paper and became a self-proclaimed paper snob and refused to write on anything that wasn't 120 GSM paper. I think a factor for that was because of how smooth the 120 GSM paper was, and how the one that we use in our store is very fountain pen friendly, whereas 80 GSM regular copy paper, in my experience, has been like really rough and hasn't taken to fountain pens well. But having said that, I feel like after discovering Tomoe River Paper, I've completely changed my mindset about equating GSM to quality, because not only is Tomoe River Paper like so buttery smooth, but it takes ink so well. So although our 120 GSM paper that we offer in our store is also fountain pen friendly, there's just something special about Tomoe River Paper. Like, if you know, you know. So after releasing our blank Tomoe River Paper refills so that you can DIY your like planner refills at home, I got a lot of questions asking whether I would consider offering printed refills in our store, but unfortunately it's not like something that I can offer right now because there's a specific type of like industrial printer that you need to have in order to properly print on Tomoe River Paper, which one, I don't have, and two, I don't have the skills to operate myself. So my only current option is to use my inkjet printer to print one page at a time. You can see the whole process yourself in our tutorial video that I'll link above for you. So capacity wise, this isn't something that I'm going to be able to offer at this stage. However, I reached out to my Tomoe River Paper notebook manufacturer and asked whether they could just do refills, and they said yes. So here we are today. I have with me the 3 samples that they sent. So we have the pocket, we have the personal and A5 sizes, which we'll be starting off with because they're the most popular sizes. And if there's more demand, I'll add in more sizes and designs later. This one here is a 5mm grid, and the grids are slightly darker than the Stylogy, which I will show you now. So here is the grid comparison. So this is a 5mm grid insert, which is what most of you guys said you wanted when I ran a poll on Instagram. So I asked whether you preferred 4mm or 5mm grid, and yeah, a majority of you guys said you preferred 5mm. So that's what we're going to go with for this release at least. And here's a comparison between the Stylogy and our grid refills, and as you can see, our grid refills are a little bit darker than the Stylogy. I do feel like it's picking up a lot darker on camera, but anyway, what I found with the Stylogy grids was that as someone who is like slightly blind, and by that I mean like I have to wear glasses all the time, I find that the Stylogy grid really strains my eyes when I try to write, especially in like a low light environment. Not that you should be writing in a low light environment, but there's been times where I've been like in a room with not great lighting and I want to journal, so I can barely like see the Stylogy lines, and oftentimes I find myself like writing crooked because of that, because I can't see the lines or like even halfway like on the actual line itself. So I really wanted something that was a bit more like friendly to the eyes and didn't strain my eyes so much, so hence why the lines are darker. The amazing thing about getting the Tomoe River Papers manufactured is that we're also able to offer edge foiling as an option. So these ones here are unpunched and unfoiled, but the manufacturer is able to do gold edge foiling as an option. So it's really very chic and very Louis Vuitton-esque. I haven't really sorted out the details for the whole launch yet for these products because there's quite a large minimum order that we have to do to be able to get these manufactured. So it's most likely going to look like a pre-order process. I am so excited about these, and I've been using them in my planner. So the other day I was trying to figure out my 2025 lineup. Paper is buttery smooth, no bleed through, unlike the Hobonichi 5-year Techo. But I'm going to talk about that another day. So yeah, this is like with the Pilot Iroshizuku Takesumi, I think it's called. No bleed through. We do have shadowing, which is to be expected, but I don't mind that at all. That's the beauty of Tomoe River Paper. So I'm so excited to be offering these, and I'm thinking about offering the pre-order process sometime early October, so please keep an eye out for that if you're interested. But yeah, I couldn't wait to show you guys. So that's the first part of the Happy Mail today. I'm also excited about this second Happy Mail. I got myself a book clamp because I mentioned in my previous vlog that I really wanted to make my own notepads from the Tomoe River offcut papers that we have. So not necessarily notepads to sell, but more so for like personal use. So here is like basically all of the Tomoe River Paper offcuts that I've saved from making our blank Tomoe River Paper refills. And I feel like Tomoe River Paper is just so precious. And I really hate the thought of putting such nice paper into recycling. So I've basically saved all of the Tomoe River Paper offcuts like a crazy lady. Basically what I've been doing is just holding the loose Tomoe River Paper offcuts with a bull clip, but it's just so janky looking and also really annoying when I want to take a sheet off. I want to just be able to rip off the sheet in one fell swoop instead of fussing around with the bull clip. The other thing I noticed as well is that when like I'm trying to access the second sheet, it bends the paper, and then when I take it out for like reference, the paper's bent, which really annoys me. So I did some research, and by research I mean I YouTubed a couple of tutorials on how to make notepads. So I think that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to test out this bookbinding press. I also grabbed a couple of extra stuff that I needed. I need a paintbrush though, so I'm going to look for one. And I think the last thing that you need is like chipboard, but these already come with some chipboard on them, so I'm sorted on that end. So yeah, let's make some notepads together. I'm so excited. I'm going to end up with like so many mini notepads. It's gonna last me for the rest of my life. But yeah, let's get started, shall we? Okay, so I just opened the box and realized that it didn't come with instructions. So I'm trying to look at the photos and figure out how to build it just from the photos. And when I opened it, I thought it was like chopping boards.
Yeah.
You could basically use it like a chopping board.
Yeah. Super cheap.
You didn't even look at the photo.
I did look at it.
Wow. I didn't have to do it myself.
You want to do it yourself?
I mean, you can do it if you want.
I've already done it.
Well,
Did I not?
only 90% of it.
It takes a while to
Screw that bit on.
The bolts in.
Yeah. Whee! And then the last bit's just the cap.
Yep.
So you just spin this stuff to like tighten it,
To squeeze
I
it
guess.
down. Yeah.
All about the top, yeah.
So you put something in there.
And then you clamp it
You
down.
can squeeze with these. I guess you got to hold it for a couple of hours or something.
Yeah, because I have to clamp it and glue it. Okay, thank you.
I guess.
Alright, so everything's been built. My partner just came over and just started building it. So he managed to get it built. So I guess what happens is you put in your stack of paper underneath and then you clamp it by twisting the screws here. So what I'm going to do is get a stack of Tomoe River paper, pop it in, and then apply the PVC glue that I bought to bind it with a paintbrush, and then we'll see how that goes. It looks like it's clamped down pretty sturdily. I feel like one side. Okay, so I absolutely do not know how this happened, but I started filming in slow-mo by accident. Basically what I was trying to say was that I bought this PVA craft glue from Officeworks to use as the binding glue, and then I found a paintbrush from Dad, which I was going to use to apply the glue. I just think it's so hilarious that everything's in slow-mo, just like rewatching it as I'm editing it. But basically I was like really confused on how to open this because it's been a while since I've actually used PVA glue, and I realized like you had to cut the top off. And I mistakenly left the glue uncapped for the whole 20 or 30 minutes that the notepad was supposed to dry, but luckily the glue didn't dry out, which is good. I also realized, like, before I started at least, that it was probably a good idea to put down some newspaper just in case I got glue all over the table. So I grabbed some newspaper and chucked that in. Apparently, it's going to take half an hour for it to set. I've applied the first layer, it looks super janky, and I guess it was inevitable that some glue would get onto the board, but I hope it's easy to clean off because I'm not sure how it's gonna work if, like, over time a lot of adhesive sticks to the actual board. But anyway, first coat done. It's going to take us half an hour for it to set, I would say, and I'm probably going to add a second coat and maybe even third coat just to make sure that there's enough glue on the edge there. So it is currently 12:52, which means that I will check back in with you in half an hour at 1:22. So it's time to do the second coat. Oh my gosh, I didn't put the cap on the whole time. I wonder if the glue dried out. Oh, okay, nope, not yet. And in hindsight, I probably should have like got a container and poured out the glue so it's easier to dip the paintbrush in. But this is just going to have to do in the meantime. So this is the second coat getting applied. I wonder if I have to put some more on. Eesh. It's definitely not even. But that's gonna have to do. Alright, so what is the time? It's currently 1:23, so we will check back in another half an hour. I reckon 20 minutes might even be okay because it looks pretty clear after half an hour. I might check back at 1:43 instead and see how it looks. If not, I'll wait an extra 5 to 10 minutes before I apply the third coat. I'm here checking in. It's currently 1:44 and I feel like it hasn't fully dried yet, and most likely because I put on like a thicker coat. So I'm probably going to wait another maybe 10 minutes to see how it turns out. Hopefully it's dried by then. And I'm also thinking that maybe I'll take it out and not do a third coat because it does kind of look thick already. So yeah, I'll probably just leave it at the second coat because I am too impatient to do a third one. Checking back in and making sure we're not in slow-mo because I've been editing the video as I've been waiting for the glue to dry, and yeah, a lot of the footage was filmed in slow-mo, which was kind of hilarious, but it's been an hour now since I applied the second coat and the sun came out, so I decided to like open up the blinds and face the notepad towards the sun so that the glue would hopefully dry quicker. I try not to do that. Try not to open the blinds too much because it gets really hot in the office when I do that. But anyway, it looks like it's dried. I'm gonna do like a touch test. Okay, so touching it, it is definitely dry, which is amazing. So now we can unclamp it, I guess, and see if it works. I'm so excited. Oh no! Eesh. I think it's glued to the board. Whoops. Let's unclamp this further so I can lift the board higher. Okay, so I've removed the notepad from the book press, and as you saw from the clip before, it kind of split, and I feel like it's probably because I didn't have enough glue there. Also, I reckon it split because there was so much glue on the actual bookbinding press, which caused it to stick to the bookbinding press when I tried to lift it up. But I'm not really sure how to avoid that. I might have to do some more research. It could be just like the glue as well, but you can see how much overhang there was from this. Let's split the notebook in half, and then is there a good way to do this? Yeah, probably not. So I reckon this is probably why people put like scrap paper. So I've seen people put scrap paper on the front and back, so when you like split them up, it doesn't like ruin the sheets. But anyway, we have a semi working notepad, I guess. I wonder what happens if I pull that off. Okay, yeah, okay, that kind of worked. So all is not lost. We did manage to get half a notepad out of this one. The top half is semi intact, and I feel like it can still be used. Yay! Okay, that was super smooth. Let's try to rip a couple of sheets off the top, see if we can get a clean edge on this. Okay, I might have to cut that off, but I feel like it's a working notepad. Like, I'm not here to sell these notepads. The whole point was to do it for personal use. I didn't have any intention to actually sell them. So I am actually pretty happy with how it turned out. No more bull clip, and it's not going to get bent when I write on like the second page. So yeah, pretty happy with how this turned out. Overall, I am super happy with how these notepads turned out. They are by no means like super aesthetic, and I would definitely not feel comfortable selling them because, as I mentioned, they're not aesthetic. There's like glue everywhere. So I'm gonna have to do some research to try to figure out what is the best way to avoid that. It could just be like the type of glue I've used, the manner in which I've applied it. Just gonna have to do research, but overall I am super happy with how they turned out because they're so much more functional than how I had them before. I'm so excited to actually use these now. But yeah, I think that's it for today's vlog. I'm gonna go ahead and edit the rest of today's vlog. If you enjoyed this vlog, I hope you will consider liking this video and subscribing to this YouTube channel for more content like this. But that's it for today. I hope you have a good one and see you in the next one. Bye.